Back to your daily dose. My name is Robert here with Barbara. We are talking all things, both Parkinson's and where we last left our last episode was the intersection of arts and medicine. Barbara, as a person who is a lifelong artist and also a person with Parkinson's, where did you, when you started to explore arts and medicine via Parkinson's, where did you find it on the ground floor when you were first diagnosed?
Well, I found that people were looking at me funny.
Yeah.
There was that stigma. My hands right now not shaking because I my meds have kicked in. But when I'm in the off period, my hand starts to shake, and unfortunately, it's my former dominant right side, and I couldn't paint. I was a painter. I was actually after I retired as a head of a visual art department at a big high school in downtown Toronto. I decided to go back to my first love, which was painting. And I did hyper realistic architectural paintings. And my hand was shaking and I couldn't paint the street signs, and it really bothered me. So I found new ways of painting. I have a special stick to balance my arm. I actually harness my tremor, and I've turned my tremor into my servant.
Mm.
So when I'm shading, I start shading and I put the pencil in my hand when it's off, and I could sit down and have a cocktail and my hand would be doing all the shading for me. It's kind of funny. But I also painted and I started illustrating how I felt as a person with PD.
Your adaptation you just spoke of, I want to highlight that because it's at the heart of improvisation, is instead of looking at the tremor as an oh my God, end block, you said, yes, I'm tremoring, and what can I do with that? And in fact, found a technique. And that type of adaptation, which to me is based in the mindset of having a growth mentality versus a catastrophizing mentality, which, and no stigma on that, by the way. It's understandable to catastrophize. We're human beings. However, by finding ways, and I think that is through community and education and support, to do that, everybody can become their own best inventor and therefore kind of their own best medicine. It sounds like you've made for yourself.
Yeah, I drew upon my two different areas of background. I was also an improv teacher at a drama and drama classes in high school, and visual artist as well. And I brought the two together, and I use them in my paying it forward. For example, I feel this disease tries to take me down. It's like a misty gray wave coming from behind me, trying to roll me into a ball and kick me underneath the couch with the dust bunnies. And I illustrated that, which is now part of my book, What Parkinson's Feels Like. So you'll see that fella with surrounded by an ocean wave. And then I worked with Parkinson Europe, an amazing group. And I said, let's put this question out to the world. And so that way I can gather other people's experiences who live with Parkinson's, because everybody's different. I mean, there's some overlap, but individually, we all experience it a little differently.
Right.
The range of responses was amazing, and very poignant, powerful, and at times both sad and beautiful.
Yep. Yep. That to me speaks to the most truthful emotion of life, which is bittersweet. Bittersweet to me, aligned with paradox, are things that I always fall back into because they hopefully help drive forth our humility and our humanity to say, A, we're not in control, and
Yeah.
B, maybe in a state of awe, we can appreciate things
Yeah.
that are larger than us, the process, the fact of being alive, however we're experiencing it.
I was very deeply touched by this particular image, and it's by Ali Signorali, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. And she writes, it's a picture of her on an ocean. Very small person floating on her back in the huge ocean. And she talks about you never know when the wave is going to next come, but you got to go with the flow and keep an eye out. Maybe I'll catch a glimpse of something beautiful.
Yeah.
Little
So
beautiful things.
we're going to come back and specifically talk about that book because it is, as I mentioned earlier, kind of my how I got to know you, and I want to know more about that. And let's dive into it in our next episode of Your Daily Dose of Dopamine. See you in a minute.
Things.